Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Empty Ad in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "I miss my husband so much. I divorced my husband 3 years ago, and God, I miss him. I asked for a divorce for a few reasons, most of which were that his depression got exponentially worse day after day, and he refused to seek treatment. Sometimes he wouldn't even go into work and ended up getting fired from his job. I stayed with him for so long, praying that one day he would start trying to get better. It was all I ever wanted, but that day didn't come. I sobbed the entire time signing those papers, and when I handed them to him and asked for a divorce, he just gave me the emptiest, deadest look and signed them without a word. My heart felt like it had been shattered with a hammer. Anger, sadness, and fear tied together in the world's tightest, ugliest knot, deeply inset in my chest. I put on a brave face for my friends, trying to frame it as shackles coming off and a new beginning, but it was a lie. It just hurt, and it keeps hurting, and it will never stop hurting. He was my soulmate. I'll never love anyone like I loved him. He used to be so sweet and loving, so passionate and happy, every other wonderful thing a man could want from another. They say each day gets easier, but it isn't for me. It's been 3 years and I'm still reaching over to the other side of the bed in the morning to pull him close. And it always stings when my hands touch fabric and not his skin. It's been 3 years and I'm still expecting to see his car in the driveway when I get home from work. It's been 3 years and my heart isn't any less broken than the day he left. I've been stalking his social media, I'll admit. He's been getting back to the gym, started taking medication, and I see him smiling so genuinely in these photos. He looks so incredible. Maybe if I had just waited, he would have changed his mind and gone to a doctor like he is now, or was it me that held him down? Was I making it worse? I hope not. I want to go over to his place and just fall into his arms and beg him to take me back. Maybe he's wishing the same thing about me. If there's even a chance I could have my boy back, I feel like I should try. I'll never know otherwise." Edit 1. 1. I'm a homosexual man. My husband is a homosexual man. I am not a woman. Yes, I know I'm effeminate and kind of emotional. Get creative. 2. My husband was a binge drinker. He refused treatment no matter how much I begged. We got antidepressants, but he wouldn't take them. I know he started taking medication now because he's posted about them and his 2-year sobriety chip that he got last month. 3. I never stopped loving him. I never loved him any less. Near the end of our marriage, I started drinking to cope. The second I realized I realized that he was dragging me down with him and I couldn't help him anymore. I didn't give up the second it got hard. Many of you are being kind of rude. I'll accept that I wasn't the perfect husband, nobody is, but claims that I never loved him are just wrong and make me feel sick to my stomach. Edit 2. No, I am not the catalyst for this. His depression started when his young brother died terribly and unexpectedly. It's not because he just hated me so much. We were childhood sweethearts and had been together for years when this happened. Significant Noise said, sometimes people just cannot progress until they hit rock bottom, and maybe you leaving was that for him. It doesn't necessarily mean you held him down. He just couldn't find the desire and motivation to progress while you were supporting him. Don't beat yourself up. It wasn't your fault that he was sick and didn't want to ask for help. In the end, we all need to want that help. Without it, all other people's efforts are worthless. If you end it amicably, you can always reach out to him and ask how he feels. Maybe he'll ignore you, maybe not, but you'll know you've tried. And stop stalking him. That is keeping you from healing. To this, OP said, thank you, I needed to hear a lot of this. Maybe I'll call him just to see how he's doing. He doesn't hate me, I know that much. I'd like to see him regardless. Medicine Ghost said, maybe that was the wake-up call he needed to get better. If you contact him, I'd suggest keeping it short and light at first, like, hey, you look great and it seems like you're engaging with the world again. It makes me happy to see. Best wishes. Except Calm said, sometimes I still feel this way. He is happy with someone else now, but remember, you can't be with a future possible version of them. You can only be with the person they are now, and at that point, you couldn't be with them as they were. I'm so sorry. I hope you figure out what you need to do to heal. Update. Well, with Reddit's advice, I did it. A few days ago, I called my ex-husband, whom I divorced after 6 years when he refused to seek treatment for his depression. I called him later in the evening. It was the first time we'd spoken since a bit of trouble he'd had while he was still drinking 2.5 years ago. He picked up on the second ring. Our conversation was a little stilted at first, as to be expected, but he said he was really glad to hear from me. We ended up meeting up for coffee yesterday, as many of you suggested. I'll admit, it was kind of hard to see him, but in a good way. He looked so much better than the last time I had seen him, but he looked exactly like the man I married. He had lost a ton of weight. He looked way healthier and very put together. I'll just say it, he looked incredibly attractive. What made it hard was that I couldn't kiss him hello like I used to. But God, the way his eyes lit up when he saw me, I barely needed to. We got our coffee and sat down, and he updated me a little on his life over the last 3 years. What really turned his life around was in part the divorce, but more so a DUI. He's since gone to rehab and AA, gotten his license back, and had to use a breathalyzer whenever he started his car for a while. He hasn't had a drop of alcohol since, and I told him I was so proud of him. He's also started taking antidepressants and made a point of telling me that they're not SSRIs, but when I asked what that meant, he got embarrassed and told me never mind. Bottom line is that they've been helping him. He's back to being a gym enthusiast, and he's almost completely turned his life around. This was around the point I started tearing up. It just felt so good knowing he was okay. Better than okay, he was good. I also apologized to him for not sticking by him. He cut me off and said I had nothing to apologize for. He was a wreck and I was being dragged down with him. That also felt good to hear. I apologized for not contacting him much during the last 3 years. That apology he accepted. He was dating someone for a few months too. He broke up with him once he tried to get him to drink on New Year's. He seemed dismissive of the guy. I guess it wasn't too serious. We got up and went on a walk after a few hours, and I think we both realized it felt like a first date. I had to stop myself from trying to hold his hand at a few points, I'll admit. We ended up sitting on a bench in a nearby park, and I confessed. I told him I missed him more than anything, how I never stopped loving him, and how if he wanted to, I'd love to try again from the beginning this time. We'd go to couples therapy, keep our heads above water, and take it slow. He was quiet for a minute before he told me something. He said he was doing better now, but there may be a time where he sank low again. Depression isn't easily cured, and he was far from cured. He still had bad days, but he said there would be one difference. He promised he would never stop trying to improve. He was never going to give up like he did before, and he refused to neglect me like he used to. If I was willing to accept that truth, he was willing to try again. I agreed, and he pulled me into an embrace and snuck a kiss to my temple. You know when it's the first warm day of spring after a cold, harsh winter, and the soft breeze and basking sun hit your skin at the same time. It felt something like that to the 1000th degree. After a while, he walked me back to my car and squeezed my hand goodbye, and the second I got inside, I started sobbing like a baby. Happy tears though. I'm currently sitting in bed, kicking my feet like a teenage girl, texting him back and forth to schedule an actual date. He said he'd plan everything and try his best to make up for the birthdays and anniversaries he missed. He said it would knock my socks off. What a dork. I love being in love. Not gonna lie, this is going to be a bit hard to explain to my friends and family. Not looking forward to those conversations, but right now, I don't care. My man loves me. Thank you to everyone who had kind words to say, and all the people who messaged me with sympathy and advice. I hope we all find happiness and love if we want it. I never would have made the leap if you all hadn't encouraged me. Best of luck to all of you, and sorry for the overly flowery language. Edit 1. We've scheduled a date for tomorrow evening. I'll let people know how it went 2 days from now in my final update. Edit 2. I'm at his place presently. Shame me not, Reddit. This second post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Evie Stevie. The post is titled, "My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband. So I'm still processing this, but I need to get it off my chest. Last night I woke up and realized someone had butchered my hair. One side is a jagged pixie cut and the other side hangs awkwardly past my shoulder. At first I thought I was losing my mind, maybe I sleepwalked or something, but no. I confronted my husband Tim because he's been acting weird lately, but he denied it. Then he drops his bombshell. My mom, she might have done it. Apparently, my mother-in-law, let's call her Diane, is convinced I've been cheating on Tim. Why? because last week she saw me having lunch with a coworker. For the record, the coworker Kyle is gay and we were literally talking about work, but Diane decided I must be having an affair, and instead of, talking to me or Tim, she broke into our house in the middle of the night with scissors and went full Edward Scissorhands on my hair. This morning, I confronted her. At first, she played innocent, but when I pressed her, she literally said, "Well, maybe now you'll think twice before humiliating my son." I was fuming. I told her Kyle isn't even into women, but she just rolled her eyes and said something like, "That's what they all say." I didn't even know how to respond to that level of delusion. Tim is horrified and apologetic, but I'm struggling here. This woman violated my personal space, destroyed my hair, and acted like she was in the right. I want to go no contact with her, but Tim is stuck between me and his mom, and I feel like this is going to be a huge blow up in our marriage. Any advice? Because I'm honestly at a loss here. Edit 1. My husband and I will be going to my mother-in-law tomorrow to talk to her about the situation again. Hopefully everyone will be calmed down by then and I won't have to threaten legal action. Thank you for all the support and suggestions. I will keep them in mind. Edit 2. To everyone saying this is fake. I don't know how to make you believe me, and honestly, I shouldn't have to. I'm sitting here crying in my friend's guest room, completely broken, trying to make sense of how my life has fallen apart in the span of 24 hours. My husband, the person I thought I could trust the most, betrayed me in the most humiliating way possible. His mother violated me in my sleep, and now strangers are telling me my pain isn't real. I wish with everything in me that this wasn't real. I wish I wasn't sitting here trying to figure out how to rebuild my life, how to ever trust someone again, or how to even face the people around me after this. I've barely eaten, I've been shaking all day, and I feel like my world is crumbling beneath me. I turned to Reddit because I didn't know where else to go. I needed advice, a sense of support, something to help me hold myself together. But these accusations, they're just making me feel even more alone. If you can't believe me, fine, but please don't make this harder than it already is. I wouldn't wish this pain on anyone. Update. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband, and now I found out my husband helped her. After the conversation we had with Diane this morning, I noticed my husband, Tim, was acting weird. At first, I thought it was just guilt about standing up to his mom, but it felt like more than that. He's been avoiding eye contact and getting defensive when I bring up what happened. Earlier, I couldn't take it anymore, so I sat him down and told him he needed to be 100% honest with me about everything. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Apparently, Diane didn't come up with the haircut idea on her own. Tim admitted that he knew about it ahead of time, and even helped her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said he truly thought I was cheating on him with Kyle because Diane had convinced him that there was too much evidence to ignore. When she suggested cutting my hair as some kind of weird punishment, he didn't stop her. In fact, he let her into our house that night while I was sleeping. Tim said he didn't want to confront me directly because he wasn't ready for the truth. So instead, he let his mother do this insane thing to me, thinking it would force me to come clean. Afterward, when I didn't admit to cheating, he started to realize he might have been wrong, but by then, he didn't know how to tell me what he'd done. He kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I was just confused." But I honestly don't know how to process this. This wasn't just Diane acting like a lunatic, this was both of them, and my own husband betrayed me in one of the most humiliating ways possible. I packed a bag and am staying with a friend tonight while I figure out what to do. I don't know if I can ever trust him again after this. It's not just the haircut, it's the fact that he didn't talk to me, believed the worst about me without any proof, and actively participated in something so cruel and violating. As for Diane, she's officially dead to me. I've already told Tim that I don't want her in my life ever again, regardless of what happens between us. Right now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to file a police report on both of them for what they did, but I'm scared of how messy it will get. Another part of me just wants to cut ties and move on, but that feels like letting them off too easily. I don't know what my next step is, but I do know this. I deserve better than this. Thank you to everyone who has supported me through this. Your comments and advice have meant the world, and I'm truly grateful for the kindness and understanding. It's helping me find the strength to figure out what comes next. Update 2, I think I'm going to divorce him and I may file a police report. After everything that's happened, I've been thinking a lot about my next steps and I've come to a heartbreaking but necessary conclusion. I don't think there's any coming back from this. I trusted Tim with my heart, my safety, my life, and he betrayed me in ways I never thought possible. I can't imagine a future where I feel safe with him, where I can trust him, or where I don't carry the weight of this violation every day. I'm strongly considering filing for divorce. The thought of staying with him home feels unbearable, but at the same time, I can't stop worrying about the messiness of it all. I just want to cut ties completely, to walk away and rebuild my life without him or his mother dragging me down any further. As for filing a police report, I'm leaning toward it, but I'm scared of what it might bring. I know what they did was a crime. My own husband let his mother into our home to assault me in my sleep. But the thought of dealing with legal battles or even just having to relive this again and again in statements is exhausting. Part of me wants to hold them accountable, but another part just wants to run far away and never look back. Right now, I'm taking it one step at a time. I've been talking to friends, trying to find some clarity in all this chaos. It's terrifying and painful, but I know one thing for sure. I deserve so much better than this. Thank you to everyone who has shown me kindness and support. It means the world to me right now. Bagel with queef cheese said, I am horrified. Like, what if his mom decided to slash her face or stab her? What the f? To this, YRN said, my first thought was all those honor attacks where they throw acid in a woman's face. You're so vulnerable when you're asleep. Fit Appeal said, I remember reading this when OP first started posting, and immediately the way the husband was like, I think it may have been my mother and all that nonsense, I smelled a rat. There was no way the mother-in-law could have done such a thing without him being complicit. I am so sorry OP is going through something so absolutely terrifying, but it showed her who the person she married was. Hair grows back with time, and the new safety she gains by getting away from those people is priceless. A deleted user said, this woman might actually have trauma from this. She was literally assaulted in her sleep, aided and abetted by her husband. She's probably going to wake up in a cold sweat for months, if she can get to sleep at all. The terror of knowing how powerless you are while asleep and the feeling of waking up to evidence of assault on your body is not good for anyone. I'd take them both to court. This final post was made about 2 months ago by a user named Absent-Minded Author. The post is titled, Friendship Ended Because of Friend's Vegan Wife. I know I'm partially at fault for the friendship ending and I'm willing to accept my judgment. And it's really long. Sorry. In November of last year, I went to visit a friend and stayed at his and his wife's house. Early last year, Kevin and his wife moved a couple of states away. For context, we are all over the age of 35. And Kevin and I were part of a friend group from an old job. Another couple from the friend group went on this trip as well, but they were also visiting family and stayed with them. Prior to the move, our friend group didn't really have much interaction with Karen as she didn't really come to spend time with us. They never hosted us at their old house. They are vegan. I am not. Well, Kevin is not a full-fledged vegan as he eats fish. However, his wife does the grocery shopping, so everything outside of fish is vegan and he eats and drinks it. He buys his own fish and has a mini kitchen to prepare his own meals away from hers. For even more context, Karen is not a vegan for health reasons. She is the type who brings up their vegan status with every conversation, no matter how irrelevant it is to the topic, makes fun of people who eat meat or use things made with animal byproducts, accuses people of murder, etc. She calls any food that is not vegan trash and garbage. For example, when we would hang out before they moved and she was there, she would always ask how people could eat such garbage anytime any of us would have meat. It was annoying, but I never got confrontational with her about it. The day before I visited them, Karen sent a short list of rules that I had to follow regarding food. One of those rules was that I couldn't store any non-vegan food items in either kitchen. I did ask if I could bring milk and she agreed, but I had to keep it in the fish fridge. All of the food I ate at their house tasted off, even the breakfast waffles and then the tuna casserole that Kevin made for the two of us on Saturday afternoon for lunch. It's not like it tasted spoiled, it was just off. Weird, a little gross. I've never eaten vegan, so I figured it was just that. Food made with vegan ingredients. I couldn't really eat anything after a few bites. I had, fortunately, packed a few protein snacks that I kept in my room inside a zippered canvas bag at the bottom of my suitcase. I did eat some street food from the market that Kevin, I, and our friends went to on Saturday after lunch, and I ate a lot at the restaurant we went to that Saturday night, and I am not ashamed. My husband and I are supposed to be going to visit them this weekend, and Karen called me a couple of hours ago. She wanted to tell me that I wouldn't be allowed to bring any milk this time around. She also said that my husband and I couldn't bring any snacks and that I should have asked last time. Apparently, she had gone through my suitcase when Kevin and I and our friends were out at the market and found my snacks. In addition to that, she also told me that she replaced my milk with almond milk and thought that was just hilarious. I drank some milk on Friday night before bed and 1 glass on Saturday morning. Then Kevin told me he used it to make our waffles and wanted to save the rest for the casserole at lunch. What actually happened was that after I poured my glass on Saturday morning before breakfast, Karen dumped the rest of it out and replaced it with almond milk. Kevin knew it but didn't tell me. I never went to look for it because he said he wanted to save it. The waffles and casserole were made with almond milk. I was so mad that I knew I wouldn't be able to say anything nice. I told her I had another call coming in and hung up. After I calmed down, I called her back to ask why she went through my suitcase and why she dumped my milk. She told me that it was her house and she had a right to know, so that's why she was allowed to go through my things. She said she dumped my milk because nobody can tell the difference between cow's milk and almond milk, and that I wouldn't have known if she hadn't told me. I called her a controlling, self-centered freak, told her that Kevin has a stash of real cheese hidden in the fish fridge that he sneaks into his food, and hung up on her. Then I called Kevin. He sided with her and told me that I pushed the line when I asked to bring milk and that it was incredibly rude to order meat when we went to dinner. We argued and I told him that it seems our lives are going in different directions and that we don't need to be friends anymore. I know I probably should have asked if it was okay to have non-vegan snacks in my room, or I could have kept them in my car. I also shouldn't have called her names. I was a guest at their house, and Kevin has me half convinced that as a guest, I should have respected Karen's veganism and not had any non-vegan food at all. My husband thinks they're completely in the wrong, and that since their lifestyle is not one that the majority of the population follows, they should have made exceptions since Kevin gets a fish exception. He's also as angry as I am that she went through my stuff. And he also pointed out that if I was allergic to almonds, I could have gotten very ill. He says that I'm better off and thinks ending the friendship was reasonable. A few minutes ago, I got the "hey, can we talk?" text, and honestly, I don't know if I'm going to respond. I'm just kind of done with it. Update. I wanted to clarify that the bag Karen found in my suitcase had emergency cash and a credit card in it, as well as snacks. The reason it was hidden in my suitcase was to keep it safe, not to hide food. I wasn't sneaking it in, but I did have protein bars in there just in case I took issue with their food. Naughty me. I responded to Kevin yesterday and told him I needed some time to think and I'd get back to him today. I took some of your advice and reached out to our friend group last night. After the group chat and also talking just with the friends who were down that weekend, I learned some things. Long story short, out of our core group of 6, I'm the only one who kept up with Kevin. The only reason those 2 friends accepted Kevin's invitation to go down that weekend was because I was going. After I took the rest of the night to think about it and sleep on it, I realized that all of you are right about Kevin's complicity regarding the switching of the milk. I didn't pay as much attention as I should have because I was so focused on the fact that Karen switched the milk to begin with. I also realized he had never actually said anything in response to my telling him that Karen confessed to going through my stuff when I called him yesterday. He had changed the subject instead, talking about how it was rude to ask to bring milk. Anyway, I called Kevin on my lunch break today and ran down the list of issues. Karen going through my suitcase, him not telling me about the milk switch, Karen switching the milk to begin with after telling me I could bring it, and how what I eat is none of their business as long as I'm not contaminating their food. Basically, he told me the only thing he would apologize for was saying that it was rude to order non-vegan food at the restaurant. He said that since they had plenty of food in the house for me to eat, he didn't have to apologize for anything else. Apparently, Karen had told him not to tell me about the milk switch because she was trying to prove that I couldn't tell the difference between vegan and non-vegan food. I told him that since I didn't eat any of it except a few bites, clearly I could tell the difference. He also said that he was eventually going to tell me about it but forgot. I said that she could have just said no when I asked to bring milk instead of being a swampy butthole about it. He said that although he didn't agree with Karen going through my things, I wasn't owed an apology because I broke the rules by sneaking meat into their house. I told him that I had only been told I couldn't have non-vegan food in both kitchens and that it was left over from my drive to their house. As long as I didn't switch it with their food like a certain someone, I hadn't done anything wrong. The last thing he told me was that the other reason I wasn't getting an apology from him was because after I told Karen about his cheese stash yesterday afternoon, she unplugged his fish fridge. He didn't get home from work until late, and according to his Google search, all the refrigerated fish had to be thrown away. This is apparently my fault. He said that we were even now. He didn't tell me about the milk switch, and I snitched about his cheese. I tried explaining that they weren't the same thing and that I wasn't responsible for what she did, but he didn't care and said he knew I wasn't allergic to nuts. I asked if he truly believed that I didn't deserve any apologies from either of them, and he said yes. I told him that if he couldn't see what they did wrong and apologize, I couldn't help him, and to give me a call when he got his courage back from his wife. He hung up on me. Yesterday, I thought I owed him an apology because I was wrong. I thought if I gave him one, we could maintain a friendship. Today, I think that the problem was that I was holding on to something that didn't exist anymore. Until you guys reality checked me, I ignored a lot of things and gaslit myself, so thank you everybody for the wake-up call. Everybody should have people like you in their lives. Thanks for reading. Geological Turtle said, his wife sounds like a nightmare, but he's almost as bad. Luckily, OP got out of that friendship. To this user, Caroline Turpentine said, he kind of seems like a personality sponge. When he was with the friend group, he fit in, but once he got with his wife, he adopted her personality and suddenly had nothing in common with them. Odd Comfortable said, Jesus, I've tried almond milk. Not only does it taste disgusting, but it reacts with my IBS in such a way that even a shot in coffee blows my belly up like a balloon, and I have some of the rankest, most painful farts for the next day or more. It smells like a fraternity bathroom after pledge week, and I have no control over it. Everyone in the house would have known about the switch within half an hour, whether they wanted to or not. Dryad Duineth said, I don't know if Kevin was a normal human being at one point, but if he was, that time has passed. He and Karen are now a perfect couple, one as controlling, invasive, and disturbed as the other. If I had to guess, I'd say she rubbed off on him as she was starting to rub off on OP, because the fact that she almost had OP believing they were in the wrong is frankly staggering. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.